Hi guys, welcome again to 12 Minutes to CLAT. So today we're going to discuss a very important issue that is actually haunting our courts for quite some time now, and a lot of cases are pending with respect to a particular issue called dishonor of checks. Okay, so we'll understand as to what is dishonor of checks, what is the exact problem that the courts are facing, and then we'll get into as to how can we solve this problem. Okay, so this session we're going to do a little differently. I'm going to explain it to you as to what is dishonor of checks, what exactly is the entire problem, and bear with me for the entire session to understand the nitty-gritties of the entire problem. After that, I've attached some very important links in the description to make you guys understand as to what this problem is. Okay, once you're done with the video as well as with all the articles that I've attached down, please mention in the comment as to what do you think should solve the problem. Okay, how can we overcome this problem? Because we've been hearing that पेंडेंसी ऑफ केसेस इन इंडियन कोर्ट्स इज अ मेजर प्रॉब्लम. ठीक है, हम हर जगह सुनते रहते हैं कि बहुत सारे केसेस पेंडिंग है कोर्ट में, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दिस पेंडेंसी कोर्ट्स टेक many years to come to a conclusion with respect to a particular case because people do not get the date that they actually want. ठीक है, काफी ज्यादा केसेस पोस्टपोन होते रहते हैं, एडजर्न होते रहते हैं, सो ऑन, और केसेस के नंबर नहीं आ पाते हैं कई बार. राइट, दैट इज वाई इट टेक्स ईयर्स फॉर सम केसेस टू बी फाइनली कंक्लूडेड. उनमें कोई जजमेंट पास हो काफी साल लग जाते हैं. Now, a major issue here is that dishonor of checks is one major issue, that is 30 to 40% of the pendency of the subordinate courts and the district courts. ठीक है, तो इन courts में जितने भी cases pending है ना, उसमें 30 to 40% cases are with respect to dishonor of checks. So more than 3.5 crore cases in India, particularly in subordinate courts and district courts, about 88% of them are in the lower courts only, are with respect to dishonor of checks. Can you imagine that more than 3.5 crore cases are just with respect to this particular problem? Okay, so let's understand what is dishonor of checks. So dishonor of checks is basically, हम बहुत ही easy language में समझते हैं, this is called check bouncing. ठीक है, हमने बहुत सुना है कि check bounce हो गया. So I'll explain this with the help of a very simple example. For example, say I draw a check to somebody, okay, to another person of 10,000 rupees. The other person goes to a bank obviously to encash that check, and when he goes to the bank tells him that I have only 2,000 rupees in my account, right, and I drew a check of 10,000 rupees. ठीक है, तो since I have drawn the check, I will be called the drawer of the check. The other person whom I have given the check is called the drawee of the check. Okay, so drawee goes to the bank says that only 2,000 rupees are there in his account, so there is insufficient balance. Now in this particular circumstances, my check is bounced or it is dishonored. Okay, this is called dishonor of check. Now a lot of you would not know that this particular offense is criminal in nature. Okay, so section 138 of the Negotiable Instrument Act 1881 states that if a check is dishonored, the drawer, that is me who has drawn the check, is liable to an imprisonment of 2 years as well as a fine which may be up to the extent of double the price mentioned in the check. ठीक है, तो अगर 10,000 रुपए का चेक है, so I may get a liability of 2 years plus 20,000 rupees की penalty भी लग सकती है मुझ पे. Okay, so this is a really serious offense if you look at it, and there are a lot of cases pending in various courts as we have already discussed. So what the Supreme Court has now proposed is that in March 2021, constitutional bench of the Supreme Court, 5-judge bench of the Supreme Court proposed to the government that we should have separate tribunals or separate courts for these particular issues, that is with respect to dishonor of checks, ताकि सारा जो burden है that is shifted to a particular tribunal which is specialized for this, right? So इससे दो फायदे होंगे. एक तो there is a tribunal which is specialized for this, तो cases जल्दी solve हो पाएंगे. Okay, so they will be able to solve the cases in lesser amount of time, that is generally happening these days. The second advantage is that a lot of burden will be avoided from the courts that we have presently, right? So there are basically two advantages of this. Now a major issue is, can the government do this? Does the government have the power to, establish tribunals for whatever they want? Now if you read Article 247 of the Indian Constitution, it gives power to the government to establish special tribunals or extra tribunals for smooth functioning of the administrative functions, right? So it is very important, and it is within actually their right to establish extra courts for dishonor of checks. Now the Supreme Court has proposed this. Now how does this work? How does the process work is something we also have to understand here, right? So, for example, say I was the drawer in this particular case. I drew a check to the other person for 10,000 rupees. I had only 2,000 rupees in my account. The bank gives the check back. Okay, it gives something called a check memo, bounce check memo, something like that. Okay, so it's the drawee's responsibility, the other person's responsibility कि जब बैंक उनको वो चेक वापस देता है within 30 days of that, okay, within 30 days of that, the drawee has to inform the drawer that the check has been dishonored. Drawer is given one chance to basically provide money to him कि मान लीजिए 8,000 rupees कम थे अकाउंट में, I will be given a chance of 15 days आफ्टर द ड्रॉवी हैज गिवन मी द चेक. ठीक है, बैंक ने उनको दिया, उन्होंने मुझे वापस दिया कि आपका चेक डिसऑनर हो गया था. आई विल बी गिवन अ चांस ऑफ 15 days टू मेक द पेमेंट टू द ड्रॉवी. तब तक मुझ पे कोई केस नहीं हो सकता. बट इफ इवन आफ्टर 15 days आई एम नॉट एबल टू basically provide that sum or give that sum to the drawee, then I will be held liable under section 138 of the Negotiable Instruments Act 1881. Right? So that is the basic process as to how it works. So now I think you understood the basics of it, right? You understood as to what is the problem all about, what is dishonor of checks. I want you guys to understand and analyze and think like lawyers as to how can we solve this problem. Okay, that is what the CLAT consortium also wants you to do, right? So think like lawyers and write in the comment box as to how can we solve this problem. You guys can also take the reference of the links that I've attached in the description box and understand the intensity of the problem and suggest appropriate step in the comment box. All the best guys, stay hydrated, stay safe, stay at home and keep preparing. All the best.